Okay. Welcome back to solo role Mangging. Phandelver and below with Tales of Argosa. Last time we brought the boys into Thunder Tree and killed a bunch of shit, including a young green dragon, which was a little bit of a close call, but we emerged unscathed, which is pretty nice. And we hit level 3. I think I gave a little bit of thought to my unique features, and then I kind of forgot about it. And then I started thinking about other things related to the game. So, yeah, I'm not really sure. I think, what I wanted for Harris for his unique feature, a little redundant, I will say, because it's a similar thing to Felina and what we kind of changed with Felina. But I think this is more of a viable choice that someone might make if they're playing Star Mage. They might accept this. Rather than in Felina's case with like the disadvantage on her offhand, it's just like it's so detrimental to her whole concept. This, I think, there's a lot more flexibility here. This, I don't necessarily have to do this, but I thought what might be nice is extending the range on my portals out to far range. So 60 feet, essentially, instead of 30 feet, doubling the range. Now, eventually, yes, much later, level 7 or whatever, we do get unlimited range as long as it's within our line of sight, which is very nice, but it's a long way away, and 60-foot range will allow us to do a lot more with our portals than we can right now. So I think it's worth giving up a unique feature slot for it, but again, it's not like, yeah, you kind of have to. The character's really pretty shitty if you don't. It's like, it's fine. It's fine. But that's the choice I'm gonna make. So, unique features. And then there's no button to just add a unique feature. And when you create an item, there's no thing to just add a unique feature. So, okay. Unique feature 1. Unique feature, no uses. Extend portal range to 60 feet. Done. That's what I remember thinking about that for him. For Felina, I don't know. It's probably just something offensive related or defensive related. It's something definitely combat related. I don't think we need to get too fancy with her, even though you could come up with anything. You could multi-class over to mage or something if you wanted to. She could multi-class over to barbarian, really, but I don't know. It's just like exploding damage dice is pretty good, although on a D8 it's not amazing. Bumping up, she'd have to pick a specific weapon. So I guess longsword. Bumping longsword up to a D10 could be a viable option as well. Or allowing her to go to medium armor. I don't think I put any other restrictions on her other than just she has to wear light armor. Yeah, so we could bump her up and allow her to wear medium armor. But she did just get this Masterwork light armor, and we could just, I guess you could buy that. We could buy Masterwork medium armor. So if we got Masterwork chainmail, that would be plus 5 AC. And with her dex, that would put her at a 17 AC, which is pretty phenomenal, to be honest. That might be what we do. And we'll give this +1 leather armor over to Harris, because he can wear that. Yeah, let's do that. I'm just gonna... Let's do it this way. Allow medium armor. Okay. So we'll sort that out in Neverwinter, but that's a simple, easy fix. Okay, so that's unique features done. The second, one of the other things I was thinking about was treasure. I was thinking about a lot about the hirelings and their shares of treasure and stuff like that. And I tried to find, discussions about this, but there really wasn't much. And what it comes down to is that I'm not sure if magic items are considered to be treasure, because in old school D&D, you didn't get XP for magic items, So the hirelings and stuff are not interested in magic items at all. They're interested in money. They're interested in coins or jewelry, things they can easily pawn, because magic items aren't really meant to be sold, or if they are, it might take months to find a buyer or something like that. So, in the old school, they're not even worth XP, because they weren't. They were their own reward. They weren't like an XP reward, because there was no intention of selling it. Axe goes a little broader and does allow you to sell magic items, and you get XP for it when you sell it, as long as it's not like used up in any way. If you've used a sword in battle, you can't sell it for full XP. I think you get a half XP or something like that. So, so obviously you can't give magic items to hirelings, and that counts as their half share. That's never gonna work. I couldn't give them a scroll and say, "Yeah, there's your treasure. Good luck." Blah blah blah. But at the same time, I don't think I can really count my leather armor and the scrolls we got as treasure for myself. That's not my share of treasure. Basically, it's up to the employer here, whoever has hired these hirelings, to pay the hirelings out of their share of the treasure. So, pretty much how you would do it is we would tally up all the monetary value of money, gems, jewelry, so on and so forth. We would divvy out shares to players, and then they would have to divvy out, I guess, to their hirelings. I'm not sure. I don't think the math works out then. I don't think the math works out in that case, because if you have 3 hirelings, you can't give them 3 halves of your share. So I guess no. We have to do it the way we have been doing it, where you tally it all up and then you divide by the total amount, counting all their half shares. In which case, it's not... I guess the onus is not on the employer. I saw someone mention that, but I don't think that's right, because that would mean you just wouldn't work. So I think that's the way you do it, is you just count the money value and not magic items. So we did get a little screwed out of the money there, but it's not a big deal. I wouldn't mind. And really, at the end of the day, basically, is as a DM, if I was DMing and they had hirelings and stuff, it's basically, do I think that the hirelings think they're being fairly compensated? If the hirelings think that they're being screwed out of a reward, or they're being, penny pinched or cheated or something like that, that's probably going to trigger like an immediate loyalty roll or something like that, you know, and they're just gonna be like, all right, fuck this, you give me my money and I'm gone, or you're you know, there's gonna be trouble here. Stuff like that. So yeah, the actual like perfect value probably doesn't matter to me that much, of like exactly half shares or something like that, but people are probably going to do the math anyways, as it's kind of expected. So yeah, I think that's that. Next thing I want to talk about is magic items, because I was thinking about the leather armor +1, and we found just like a dead elf in this random building in a low level location, and he had +1 leather armor. And it's just like, that's just wrong. I think it's kind of just wrong to have. Because that implies then that +1 magic armor is fairly common and pretty prevalent across the setting. And in the Forgotten Realms, that's probably true, and that's how they do it, and blah blah blah. But I think in an OSR game, that's not. Well, I mean, obviously, old school D&D invented that whole concept, so it came from somewhere. But OSR is not necessarily old school D&D. They have kind of cultivated their own sort of genre here, and I think that idea is less and less common these days, of just like token magic items that give a numerical bonus. I think a lot of gamers prefer to have magic items that are a lot more evocative and unique and sort of mystical. I'm not against having magic armor, leather armor +1. I'm not against that in theory, but it should be much rarer. It should have a unique identity. You know, it should be the garb of stolen knight or something like that, and it can give +1 AC, but it also should have some other effect and have kind of an identity. And I think Tales of Argosa definitely leans in that direction as well. If you look at the magic items section, all the magic items that are of that kind of caliber have an identity, rather than just at a certain point give out leather armor +1, which I think is I think 13th Age is sort of like that. They don't say give out leather armor +1, but basically the game assumes that all your player characters are going to have a certain number of magic items as they keep leveling up. Like the math sort of accounts for that. And that's not really OSR. And 13th Age, obviously not an OSR game at all, but so I think that if you're gonna want to throw stuff like leather armor +1 around, or +1 long swords around, or something like that, just make it masterwork. I think that solves a good number of problems right there, because we can go to Neverwinter and we can buy, obviously, masterwork leather armor. I'm gonna go there now and I'm gonna buy masterwork chainmail. So the idea of this stupid elf in his fancy masterwork leather armor, and he wanders into this place alone and gets eaten by giant spiders, that makes more sense. He was somewhat wealthy and he was foolish. So we're gonna change this leather armor +1 to just call it masterwork. And we're not using Tales of Argosa for masterwork. We are using Axe, because Axe is pretty simple. There's 2 degrees of masterwork in Axe. For armor, you can pay an additional 80 gold on the cost of the armor for it to weigh 1 less stone. So in our case, it would take up 1 less slot, which is kind of nice. Or you can pay 650 additional gold for it to be +1 AC while weighing the same as normal. So you can't have both. But yeah, if you buying plate armor, and you got a little extra money to burn, and you might, you may as well throw an extra 80 gold on there, assuming you're in an area or a city or something that can support masterwork armor. And so then it could be 5 slots instead of 6, which is kind of nice for not much more cost. Masterwork weapons, you can do an extra 80 gold for +1 to hit or +1 to damage. And like, honestly, if I was outfitting like a squad or something, I'd probably be more interested in just the +1 to hit a lot of the time for far less cost, because 650 gold additional for +1 to hit and damage. In neither case does the weapon provide the ability to hit magical monsters unless forged of a material otherwise capable of doing so, like silver. So that's where we're going with. Whereas Tales of Argosa has definitely more kind of variety and stuff available. For weapons, it can be a damage boost. It could be let you re-rolling 1s or 2s on the damage dice. It could be a little extra crit boost, +2 on initiative. You can re-roll fumbles. You inflict minimum damage on a miss. Stuff like that. Those are all fine, but honestly, I could just slap that onto actual, like, magic weapons. Because I still want to provide, obviously, magic weapons and armor here and there as, like, nice rewards for plundering dungeons and things like that. But they should still be difficult to obtain or rare, you know? And yeah, I would say if you go to a big city in a setting that I'm DMing for most of the time, you probably could find a magic weapon or armor to purchase, but I'm probably going to use X values for that, and they are fucking expensive. They are quite expensive. And that also led me to think about the potions of Cure Light Injury, because I don't like how many of those we have. Those should be pretty rare. And Axe does let you make them, obviously, and does let you potentially buy them in the default setting, which I was surprised by, but the cost is much higher than I think most people would expect. The average market cost in Axe for a potion of Cure Light Injury, 1d6 +1 healing, is, I think, like 1,200 gold? Around there, 1,250 or something. So yeah, not cheap. And they're also not really easy to make. They cost 1,500 gold to make each. So they are being sold at a loss, and Axe does go into how that's explained. They cost 1,500 gold to make, and like a level 6 character trying to make it will have to spend 5 days making one potion of Cure Light Injury. And you have to have actual magical ingredients. So not easy to make, not quick to make, not cheap to make. And then if you do want to make them to sell them, you're going to be selling them at a loss. And Axe explains that by comparing it to MMOs, where a lot of crafted items in MMOs are sold at a loss when thinking about the full cost of like time and effort and grinding and blah blah blah. And that's because a lot of people craft for reasons other than strictly money, and that's to like level up their skills and get better at crafting and blah blah blah. So that is sort of compensated in Axe through the XP, earning experience from campaigns. So you actually do get XP here for construction, for your domain income. If you're running the domain, you continue to just collect XP. Hijinks, if you run like a syndicate, like a criminal guild or some kind, you get XP from mercantile income, obviously, of course, because that's a whole avenue you can go on. But yeah, here you get an XP from magical research. At the end of each month, calculate the total gold piece value of research that the character contributed towards magical research projects. It's like doing your taxes. If the amount exceeds his XP threshold, the character earns campaign XP equal to the difference. Character does not need to have completed the research to collect the XP. So Alari is a 9th level mage with a research rate of 600 gold pieces per day and an XP threshold of 10,000 gold pieces. At the start of the month, she begins work on a sword +3, which has a research cost of 35,000 gold pieces. Each day, she contributes 600 gold pieces value towards the research cost of the sword. After 30 days of research, she has contributed 18,000 gold pieces toward the research cost. She gains 18,000 minus 10,000 equals 8,000 XP for her month of research. Note that she still has 28.33 days of research left to complete the sword. Alright, so here's your monthly XP threshold for these various activities. So for us, it would be 150. So if we can, well, not quite, and I already, so obviously Axe goes to level 14, Tales of Argosa goes to level 9. So if I just follow these things as written, we'll never get to those high-end numbers, and our characters will retire before we ever get close to it. So when I was looking at the research rates for magic research, I decided, fuck it, I'll just... Tales of Argosa characters are already more powerful, so I'm just going to consider level 14 here on these charts to be level 9. And then 13 is 8, 12 is 7, 11 is 6, so on and so forth. So level 6 on these chart is a level 1 Tales of Argosa character. It doesn't really fit perfectly, because it does make like hirelings. Like if you're going to hire people to do research assistance for you, hiring a level 1 mage to assist you counts as a level 6 character here. So it basically just makes all this stuff easier, but for the people I play with, I would be shocked if they ever touch a single coin of this XP from campaigns. So, yeah, so for us then, we would actually be on this chart level 9. No, we would be... Stop it. We would be 1, 2, 3. We would be level 8 here on this chart. So our XP threshold per month would be 5,000. Which means that that's the minimum threshold, not the max. So you have to gain over 5,000, or you have to put in or gain over 5,000 worth of XP to collect that at the end of the month as actual XP. It's all quite complicated, I'm aware. So you'll note then that this is a sword +3 that has a research cost of 35,000 gold pieces. And takes a level 9 character with no assistance 2 months to create. Then you also have to put in 35,000 worth of like monetary value, like the material cost or whatever it is. And then the component cost, you have to put in 35,000 gold worth of magical components. So the whole thing, like if you just wanted to walk up and to a 9th level mage and say, hey, make me this +3 sword, I need one. It's going to cost you 105,000 gold. Now, if you wanted to buy it, I think it's based on like 225% of the base value. So 35,000 times 225, which is what is some number, 80,000 or something like that. That's if you just could buy it on the market, but the odds of you finding something like that on a market, even in Neverwinter or something, very slim. You'd probably have to commission it. So 105,000 gold, which seems like quite a lot. Seems like quite a fuck ton. So for us, like if we wanted to just say like, hey, we're gonna settle down for a little bit. We've got some cash. We could actually harvest this dragon for some magical components, which I should look at, by the way. We could start making something and maybe get some XP out of that, which is kind of interesting. Obviously, we can't convert the XP values directly, but give or take, I could sort of ballpark and depending on how much you do in a month. So the bottom line is, I would say that if you're going to spend a whole month doing crafting or constructing or mercantile ventures, even though Tales of Argosa doesn't account for any of that shit, I'll give you XP for it. Sure. I like that whole concept. Because if the players all sit down and say, hey, we're done with these dungeon bullshit. I'm not killing any more dragons. We want to do mercantile ventures. And we want to sail from this place to this place to this place and buy low and sell high. And we want to do all that. It's like, all right. If that's what the table wants, sure. I mean, I'll still get my kicks in by throwing random encounters all the time, but because it's not a safe venture. But yeah, sure. And you can get XP from that. What the fuck? Okay, my mouse cursor disappeared for a while. What was I looking at? Oh, right. We were going to look at the dragon. His corpse. That's right. And probably, I mean, you should butcher practically everything. Unless you have a good reason not to butcher these things. Every creature in the monster manual here has spoils that are valuable in some way. So those zombies we killed, should have butchered them. The giant spiders we killed, should have butchered them. This dragon, definitely. So here's dragon components. Blah, blah, blah. Depends on the dragon's age, color, and special abilities. So we're looking at young dragons. Can be harvested for a gizzard worth 205 gold pieces. And it is linked to the locate treasure magic effect. There's a component from the color list. All effects associated with color. All effects associated with color. Oh, yeah, right here. Duh. So a luteus gland that is linked to cloud of poison, rain of vitriol, physical invulnerability, poisonous. Okay, so yeah, you could make a bracelet that makes you immune to poison. Sure. Why not? So that's worth 205 gold pieces and weighs 3 3/6 stone. And then wingtips, obviously the same thing. Flight and winged flight effects. And then their front claws, same thing, but swift sword effect. Ooh, what is that? Ooh, what is that? Swift sword. The spell accelerates the attacks of the caster, allowing her to make one additional attack per round for the duration of the spell. Damn. Damn. So okay, so I mean, again, I like half of these videos are just me geeking out about axe and all this stuff, but okay. Then I'll get to that in a moment. But a young dragon also has 2 horns, both of which fetch 2d6 plus 1 times 5 gold pieces and weigh 1 stone per 80 gold, and an armored hide which fetches 100 gold pieces and weighs 8 4/6 stone. Right, so that's not any magical stuff. That is pure just like value, that is pure treasure or something. Someone will pay for dragon horns, someone will pay for dragon hide, because you could make leather armor out of dragon hide. And I don't know if I'm sure Axe goes into something about that at some point. Whether it's like actually it's not magical. And that's the key. You could enchant it to be magical, but by itself, it's not. Yeah, I don't think it really goes into that at all. I'm sure it does somewhere. These books are massive, but whatever. Right. So the thing is, like, say you kill this young dragon and you harvest its front claws, and you get the swift. They have the swift sword effect linked to them, and you say, okay, I want to make a sword that has a permanent swift sword effect on it, so it always attacks twice. You know, I can attack twice. Well, that's gonna take a lot more than one young dragon, I can assure you of that. Because you have to supply a material cost equal to the base cost of the item you're trying to make, right? So this would be a permanent effect. And it's based on the spell level and how long the effect normally lasts. So if the effect normally lasts like more than a day, or a day at least, that's sort of the cheapest way to get a permanent effect out of it. Because that's 500 gold times the spell level times 15. But if the effect only lasts, say, a turn, then it's 500 gold times the spell level times 50. So if we go... I think Swift Sword was, what, a second level or something? I know, eventually we'll get to actually playing the game again, but it's very interesting. Yeah, so Swift Sword is a second level spell that lasts for 6 rounds. So that's 1 turn. No, that's not even. That's less than a turn. I don't even know if you can. Well, you'd have to go with Swift Sword Sustain. Yeah, you'd have to go with Swift Sword Sustain. Okay, so that's a level 3 spell that lasts 3 turns. Okay. I want to calculate the cost of this sword that we'd like to make. So 3 turns right here. That would be 500 gold times the spell level times 38. So the spell level's 3, so it's 1500 gold times 38. Let's bust out the old calculator, shall we? 1500 times 38 is 57,000 gold. Now, that's the component cost, which means you need 57,000 gold worth of magical components. Now, granted, they don't all have to be front claws from a dragon. But there is a formula, and basically it's like, depending on how many magical components you put in to compensate that aren't related to the effect that you're trying to put on it, you get a penalty to the roll that you have to make to see if you actually succeed. So the more shit you throw into the mix that isn't Swift Sword related, the harder it is to actually make this item be what you want it to be. And then, you know, I'm pretty sure you make the roll at the end. You know? So you could just waste all of it. You can just waste everything. Now, it's a lot cheaper than, of course, if we didn't want to make it permanent. And we just wanted to make it, we could activate it once per day. Because then that would be 1,500 times 10, so 15,000 worth of components, which is a lot cheaper. Certainly a lot cheaper. Right. So you'd need to kill a lot of young dragons to get enough front claws to make that work. But if instead you killed a mature dragon, then their front claws are worth 540 gold. Bottom line, the amount of dragons that you'd have to slaughter to actually make like a sword that has this kind of effect on it is going to be astronomical. But there might be something better if we search Swift Sword. I mean, if you manage to kill a venerable dragon, their claws are worth 1140. So you're kind of on your way there. Dragon turtles, also their beaks. Now there you go. That's much more economic. Their beaks are worth 4,200. Granted, dragon turtle is fucking 36 hit dice and is not going to be an easy kill. And the beak alone weighs 70 tons. Or 70 stone, I'm sorry. Horses actually can give the swift sword. Light horses. But their hooves are only worth 20. So you'd have to basically commit genocide on the horse community. Oh, medium horses, 50 gold worth of hooves. Ettins. If you could wipe out a whole layer of Ettins, their spinal cords are each worth 850 gold of Swift Sword. But even, I mean, a layer is just 1d4 Ettins. So, you know. I don't think there's any quick route here to getting a Swift Sword. Giant catfishes, 600 gold worth of Swift Sword material in their feelers. And here, see, you can encounter in their nest. They could have 180 eggs. So you could kill the giant catfish, collect all the eggs, and then raise the giant catfish in captivity. Somehow, and then collect all that, and then boom, you've got a lot of fucking feelers. It would take a long time though, and they grow to about 15 feet long, weigh around 2,700 pounds. They get to adulthood after like, what is this, in months? 10 months? 36 months? Probably 36 months or something. I don't remember. Yeah, it listed at the start of the book. Anyway, so on and so forth. You know, there's a lot of things that contribute to Swift Sword, but yeah, getting all this. So you're probably going to have to substitute some other materials, and you're probably just going to have to accept some penalties if that was something you really wanted to have happen. But that's not even considering that's just like the permanent effect or the once per day effect on your sword. Now it does make it automatically a +1 weapon if you put any magical effect on it. But if you wanted to increase that to a +2, you'd have to throw an extra 10,000 gold on the component cost. So, you know, fun stuff. A lot easier to just make a potion of Swift Sword, because that would just be 1,500 gold worth of 1,500 gold worth of. Actually, if you use just regular Swift Sword, that would be 1,000 gold worth of Swift Sword material, which is still not nothing, of course, but a fuck ton easier. And then you could be Swift Swording when you swig your potion. I guess you could also put a charged effect on your sword. Like you could do like 6 charges. And that's not that expensive. Oh, it's kind of. It's 500 gold pieces times the spell level times the charges. So that would be 1,000. That'd be 6,000 or something. Yeah, anyways. All very interesting stuff. I don't know how much you care about any of that. And now we're 40 minutes in and we haven't done a damn thing. But yeah, so the point was that I probably should be harvesting stuff, right? We can get a bunch of stuff out of these dragons. And we also had the giant spiders. Or the giant crab spiders. From them, the mandibles are poison related. Leg tarsus are spider climb related. Palps are chameleon related. Not much. But you can also just sell the mandibles for 8 gold. And collect its venom, which sells for 100 gold and can be used as a poison. So that's something. And then if we go to the zombies, they'll also have spoils. Brain, 20 gold piece worth of deathless minion, rouse the fallen or undead legion. And the heart for wall of corpses. So if you're looking to do some necromantic shit, harvest some zombies. Now, one question that I would have is how long it takes to harvest this shit. Because I can't imagine it's that quick to skin a fucking dragon of its hide, you know? For more information on harvesting spoils, see Monster Parts Mundane and Monster Parts Special, page 366. Okay. Oh my god, fucking axe. Oh, here. Armored hides can be sold or used as raw materials by an armorer. Raw materials reduce the labor cost of construction project by their value to a maximum 25% of the total cost of the construction project. Armored hides can be used to pay material costs when enchanting magical armor and shield. Okay. So, dragon, young... Right, yeah, okay. Monster's armored hide will only be intact if the monster was slain with just one attack, or the monster was slain by cold, death magic, electricity, or poison and lost half its hit points or less to other attacks. Damaged armor pelts are worth just 1 gold piece per stone. Interesting. Of course. Axe always on top of this shit. So yeah, you'd have to just kill the dragon in one shot. I don't know how you're getting a fucking dragon turtle armored hide at this value. Insane. Quite insane. Okay, so here. The skinning, fleshing, and butchering table. So if you want to skin this thing, the time required in turns is the monster weight in pounds divided by 10. I don't think this dragon is going to be too light. If you want to butcher it, it's the monster weight in pounds divided by 5, and you get an amount in pounds of the monster weight times 0.0265. Yes. Fucking axe, man. It just never ends. So how much does a young dragon weigh, you ask? Oh, don't worry. They tell you. They tell you that shit. Young weighs 330 stone. So divided by 10, that's 33 turns. Remember, one turn is 10 minutes. So you're looking at, what, a bit under 6 hours? 5.5 hours, right? No, 6.5 hours. No, 5.5 hours. 5.5 hours in order to skin it. If we just wanted to butcher it, though, I mean, we're going to go all the way through this. If we wanted to butcher it, that would be 330 divided by 5. Okay, so that's 66. That's a long time. So times that by 10. That's 660 minutes. Which is 11 hours. So basically, your entire day will be spent butchering this young dragon. That seems about right, I would say. That seems about right. Yeah, okay. Adventurers must have one of the following proficiencies in order to properly prepare animal products: animal husbandry, labor butchery, labor farming, or trapping. If not, the time required for each process is doubled, and the amount yielded is halved. If desired, adventurers may collaborate in butchering monsters, dividing its weight amongst themselves. All participating characters must have the appropriate craftsman tools. Okay. Oh no, we're looking at... No, okay, I was counting it. I don't know why they wouldn't do the math in stone, considering they do everything in stone. So they do it in pounds. So 330 stone is 3,330 pounds. And so to butcher this thing, one person butchering this thing would take 666 turns. So 6,610 minutes, which is 111 hours. Okay, yeah, there you go. 111 hours. So assuming you're working 12 hours every day and you're doing nothing but butchering up this dragon, that's nearly, well, double that, really. Yeah, a bit over 9 days of work. And by then, I feel like the dragon, it's gonna rot, right? I mean, I've played Cataclysm. That shit rots pretty quickly. So there's no way you're butchering all this stuff. So really, you could figure out, I guess, how much meat am I gonna get if I just put in one day. If I'm gonna butcher this thing for 12 hours and then we're going. You could probably figure that out. So, okay, let's figure... So, 6,000... No, it was 3,330 pounds times 0.0265. Okay, so that's the amount in pounds, except... Oh, no, that's the amount in stone that you get in yield. Right, so you'd get, if you butcher the entire thing perfectly, you'd get 880 pounds worth of meat. Which is fantastic. Again, I don't know what you do with that, but, you know, you'd feed a village. So then, if we say... So divide that by 9. because it was 9 12-hour days. So if you just do it for one day, we'll round up and say that you get 100 pounds worth of meat, which is, again, pretty good, considering how much, you know, the average person eats in a day. That'll last you a good number of rations, assuming you can preserve it all. There you go. You wanted to know? You probably didn't, but now you know. If you butcher a young dragon, that's all the math. Now imagine, granted, a like large dragon, or not a large, like an old dragon, a venerable dragon or something. Because those things, I mean, an adult dragon. Just an adult dragon, like a typical adult dragon, 10 hit dice, 900 stone. So all those numbers I just gave you, basically triple them. You get up to an ancient dragon, if you can actually kill it, and then you want to butcher it. It weighs 3,000 stone. 30,000 pounds. Fun stuff. Right, okay, so that answered the question of how long to butcher. And obviously, for something of this size, it's going to take quite a while. So we're probably not interested in butchering it. But as for its, like, parts, fangs and things like that, doesn't really say. Oh, here, harvesting's... Oh, yeah, this was all for mundane parts, like their antlers and anything that's not magical. So venom takes an hour and requires a throw, and if you fumble it, you get scratched by the fang or stinger, and you have to immediately make a death save as if you were hit. Okay, so yeah, that takes an hour. Then the other components. Blah, 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 blah. 1 turn. And requires... Oh, that's for appendages, external organs, and remnants. That's 1 turn. Requires no special proficiency to do so. But bones, coverings, internal organs, and more exotic special components, you have to have the proficiency. You have to have tools, and it's 1 turn per 100 gold piece value of the component. Minimum 1 turn. Okay, so it's not exceptionally long, all things considered. All right. How much of that do we convert to Tales of Argosa? I mean, a good amount of it, I would say. If any of this is going to come up in play, this is going to be the source that I use for rulings, rather than just, like, spitballing it on the spot. But you can see why I don't want to actually play Axe, though. Because there's just so much that I feel I have to look up, or really, I feel like I'd have to just know off the top of my head. And I don't know how you know all this stuff off the top of your head. There's just so much. So I feel like playing Axe, or running Axe, is just a lot of, let me look at the book real quick and read. I don't know how it can't be anything but that. So it's just, ugh. So yeah. Things like proficiencies, I generally am just... I would say pretty much if you have wilderness lore or animal lore, I'll probably allow, and you want to harvest stuff, it's like, okay, go ahead. Because I'm going to, you know, require you to make rolls to do it. And you're going to want those skills on your character because you can then re-roll and you get a +1, blah, blah, blah. So... yeah, I'm not going to obviously fret too much about proficiencies beyond that. And then a craftsman tools. Yeah, I mean, I probably would say that I'd require that, to be honest, because you can't just take a long sword or a dagger or something and start carving up and expecting to get good, perfect butchering and stuff. That's not how that works. Like, okay, if you just want to slash up an animal and just to get a bunch of raw meat to go on your way with, it's like, okay, sure. It's nowhere near as efficient. You're wasting a lot of product, but you don't care. So whatever. You're just carving up sections of raw meat and going on. But anything beyond that, it's like, yeah, you probably need, butchering tools or something like that. Some sort of tool set related to that. Yeah, that's what I would say. Venom, it doesn't sound like you need tools of any kind. The only thing I'd say for Venom is that you have to have a container of some kind. You can't just pour it in your bag. So, I would say it's a good incentive to just always carry some empty vials or something, because you might kill some giant spiders, and why not collect their venom, assuming you have, like, wilderness lore. You can just spend an hour and collect a bunch of venom, which is worth quite a bit. Giant crab spider venom, spend an hour, you earn 100 gold. And honestly, I'll probably give you an XP for doing it. Because it's 100 gold value that you've collected. It's pretty good. All right, where does that leave us? Well, we don't have any of the proper tools. So the only thing that I would say we would maybe bother doing is collecting the venom. But I don't think we have any containers other than I could pour out one of my oil flasks and we could collect venom. If we want to sit around here for an hour in the middle of Thunder Tree Ruins. And that's probably going to risk a random encounter because, specifically in Thunder Tree, there are cultists in the ruin, nearby. And the cultists worship dragons. They came here because of that dragon. And they worship it. So we're the giant spider corpses are at like the base of the hill leading up to the tower. And they go up there to, pay obeisance or whatever to the dragon. I'm pretty sure it says all this. Unless I just made all that up. No, I think I did make that up. I went further than it says here, because it says the cultists are waiting for the right moment to approach the dragon. They've been spying on the dragon from afar, trying to gauge its demeanor and needs. They aren't interested in fighting anyone and prefer to be left alone. Blah, blah, blah. They've come to treat with the green dragon, whose name they don't know. Blah, blah. If the characters express a similar desire, he suggests an alliance. He actually plans to offer the characters to the dragon as part of his tribute. And if a fight ensues, the cultists side with the dragon against the party in the hope of earning its trust. So, they are dragon cultists. I think they would take some great offense to us having killed it, but at the same time, they're not really... They're kind of cowardly. And it says most of the cultists will flee if the leader gets captured or killed. So... And there's 7 of us. There's only 6 of them. I don't think they'd really, rush us or anything. They might just, rebuke us and yell at us and, wail or something. Who knows? But, yeah. I mean, there probably should be other random encounters, but they don't really mention that in modern D&D. That's not a thing that occurs most of the time. So, all right, I'm gonna pour out an oil flask. Fuck it, we'll do this. And we're gonna spend an hour collecting this crab spider venom, and I'll have Harris roll wilderness lore. Because it's int. And he succeeds. So I don't know if I'd always make it just a blanket roll like that. I think depending on the creature and the process, there could be some modifiers to make it harder. But this is a relatively low scale one. Also, I don't know if you really can just dump out an oil flask and put venom in it and it's all good. But we'll do it. So I'm gonna we'll add it to Felina in case she wants to use it. Crab, spider, venom. 100 gold pieces. Poison drug, battle gear. Consumable. Good, and I will give us each 1 XP. Now, technically, yes, that probably should only go to Harris. But I'm still pretty iffy on the whole concept of, like, separate XP, you know, for individual players. Like, it's worked out in the game that I'm DMing where one person died, so she's been behind, and then one person missed 2 sessions, so he's behind. So there's like 3 different now ranges of XP that people are at. And that's kind of a new thing for me and for them to have this, like, not everyone reaches level 3 at the same moment, you know? It's like the other 2 have to look on, whereas the others are picking their unique features. So that's already a new concept, but the idea of giving people their, like, exclusive XP is... Yeah, but it makes sense, and I guess I did already do that because one of the players made some, like... He went and gathered herbs and made some herbal sleep thing, remedies and stuff, and I gave him an XP for it. So I guess I already have done it, and I am trying to get more in the habit of it, so... Alright, fuck it. Fuck it, I'll give it just to Harris. Because what did the henchman do to earn anything? Alright, let's head out. We're just gonna go 1 tile here. Back towards Neverwinter. Slow and steady wins the race. So I'm going to generate, let's see, how many do we need? 1, and then we'll camp, so 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we'll push into Neverwinter. So let's just do 5. 5. Boom. All right, so our first one here is no encounter. And then we're going to camp for the night, and it's no encounter, so that's good. And we're just going to tick off ration. Oh, dude, we can't play yet. We're definitely not done. Because I talked that shit about the Masterwork armor and how I wanted to change it off of +1 leather armor. I didn't even get to the battle axe. I guess the battle axe is probably okay. It is a magic weapon. It is magical. It has a name. It is a +1 weapon, but it also has a unique feature that it does max damage or whatever to plant creatures. So I guess it is kind of a lame magic item. You could do much better than that, but I suppose it is acceptable within the realm of a magic item. A low-level magic item. If I wanted to make it more evocative or more unique or something, we could go to my Arcane Artifacts and Curious Curios book, and we could find a section on axes somewhere in here. Swords, staves, torches, and lots of swords. Shields. Alright, let me go to the fucking table of contents. Fine. There's a lot of items in this book. Axes. Page 153. Here we go. We could find something. I'm not going to switch. I think it's fine. But if I wanted to. Vicious Limb Cleaver. It severs an enemy's limb whenever a critical is rolled. There you go. Or the Axe of God's Rage. Once per week, the user can summon the power of the God of War and fall into a battle frenzy. Their vision goes red and they do 3 times their normal damage for 1d10 rounds. During this time, they are incapable of communication or coherent thought as the War God's fury courses through them. The Bloody 9. After the rage fades, the user falls to a stable 0 hit points. Now, see, that I think is a much more interesting magic item. That is much more interesting to me than the Hue +1 battle axe. So, yeah, that's that. Okay, new day. New day. And now we're going to push on all the way. So, let's see. We have no encounter. And then right outside the gates, we encounter a werewolf. As the sun sets, the night grows along, there's a werewolf. Great. Werewolf. Okay, now 4 hit dice. Yes, that's all good. But keep in mind, I don't think they can be... When it's in its beast form, it gains a number of special abilities based on its type. It also becomes immune to mundane bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage. However, it treats damage dealt by silver weapons as extraordinary damage. Resistant to all other mundane damage. So basically, Felina's main hand would be the only way that we could harm this thing and do 4 hit dice worth of damage. Also, Nova would be able to damage it. Here's a good question, though. Is it in wolf form or not? And the question you might have to ask is it a full moon? And I saw in the Discord when someone asked, like, oh, how do you guys decide, like, during the nighttime, like, if it's relevant? How do you decide if it's like a half moon or a full moon or, you know, a whatever moon or blah, blah, blah? And the first response in the Axe Discord was just, well, I track the lunar cycles. It's like, well, yeah, obviously. What sort of answer did you expect? Yeah. Because really, I mean, like, unless you're doing like a really funky setting or something, and it's a good reason not to do something like that. If you're just doing a normal, like, 7 days a week, 28 days a month, whatever, you know, like, basically just equivalent to our reality, because that's the easiest way to run things, then you can just grab, like, a lunar chart or whatever for any time period and just go off of that. And if you're tracking days like a calendar, as you should be when running a game like this, then it's very easy to just have another column that just says what the moon is like that night. And 98% of the time, it's probably not relevant, but it could be for like nighttime raids or stealth missions or, in this case, werewolves. In our case, I'm not tracking the lunar cycle, so we're going to have to just decide if it's a full moon or not some other way, probably with some sort of luck roll or oracle roll. I think it's pretty unlikely, so let's just... we'll just do a d20 with disadvantage. Is there a full moon tonight? Okay, we got a 16 and an 18, so that means that there is a full moon tonight. What are the odds? So that means this werewolf is out in werewolf form. But is he an idiot? Well, yeah, it says he's feral and savage, frequently killing or infecting those in his village or even family. My cat just ate a little piece of paper. That's good. Yeah, lick your chops, buddy. Yeah, so it's just feral and savage. So it's pretty close to one of the biggest cities in the world. So I have to assume this is a recent convert, recently infected. Maybe from one of the outlying villages or something, and is on a rampage and is probably gonna notice us. Now, it's not nighttime yet. Well, I guess it sort of has to be. We were pushing it, right? I said we were gonna push our march. So I guess, yeah, it is getting pretty dark. The moon's out, and he must have changed nearby, and... let's do a, reaction roll for the werewolf, just to have a general thought on how this might play out. Okay, we got an 8, which is pretty neutral, and in this case, I think that's not good for us. Because neutral probably points towards just the default sort of MO, and for a normal animal, that's not a big deal, but for a feral werewolf, that's probably just, I'm gonna slaughter you all. I don't know if... Now, see, Tales of Argosa does not have werewolf. Oh, it does have lycanthropes. Perfect. Werewolf. There it is. Again, makes them harder, more health. 6 hit dice plus 4. 2d6 bite attack, 13 AC. On a natural 19, a direwolf comes to the lycan's aid if possible. They move fast. They regen from all damage. Regen all damage, silver, fire. I assume they regen from all damage, but that's negated by silver or fire. After combat, anyone injured must make a luck con save or suffer lycanthropy. And yeah, an 8 reaction roll there would be it's hungry. And I think that's what we're looking at here. So, this does not make it immune to damage, notably. This just gives it regen from everything but silver or fire. Let me look real quick at... Oh, here. Their incredible healing continues to function even if the monster is reduced to 0 hit points. Luck con save at the end of combat or be cursed with lycanthropy. Characters with regeneration instantly heal the indicated amount of HP at the end of the round. Oh. Okay, so they instantly heal all their damage at the end of each round. Unless they're damaged by silver or fire. So we'd have to grab our torches. But I don't think we didn't make a fire. We're still marching. I'd have to hit him with a Molotov cocktail real quick or something. That's if we're using Tales of Argosa stats. And I don't really want to use Tales of Argosa stats anymore because I love this monster manual so much. This might be my favorite monster manual of all time. It's just so fun. There's so many fun things in here. So right. So this one, unless you have silver or magical weapons or magic, you're kind of fucked. He's literally just immune to it. Which is not the same as regenning all damage at the end of the round. Because if we use the Tales of Argosa stats and just said that it regens all damage at the end of the round, all it really means is we could drop it to 0 and then all we'd have to do is like touch it. We'd have to give it a paper cut with like a silver letter opener or something and he'd be dead. Whereas Axe, we literally cannot damage it with anything but magic or silver. So it doesn't have much hit dice. It doesn't have much health. It only has like 18 health. 14 AC. And it attacks, so it do +4 on the attack roll. 2d4 damage. Plus bone breaking. It has bone breaking bites. If it succeeds on an attack throw with an unmodified 20, the creature bitten must make a death saving throw. If the save succeeds, the creature suffers double ordinary damage dice, so 4d4, or if it fails, triple the damage dice, and has a limb broken. A broken wound heals after 180 days or 90 days under treatment of a healer. So if it crits, yeah, you might have a arm or leg just shattered for 90 days. Great. That's fun. Right. Well, okay. So I don't think we can really avoid this encounter. Like, there is going to be an angry feral werewolf charging towards us or hunting us down. It's hungry. It's out for blood. I don't think it's really going to be that stealthy. I saw Tales of Argosa has it where it can be in human form, beast form, or hybrid form. Oh, why am I... Yeah. I don't know if they make the same distinction here. Most lycanthropes have 2 forms, human form and a beast form. Were rats have 3 forms. And its human form, it has no special abilities except being able to transform. Interesting. So you can just kill an ordinary werewolf in human form as if it was just a guy. Interesting. You know, usually I think of like the Hulk, and it's like if you try to shoot Bruce Banner, it's like it's not going to get you far. But no, I guess you can just stab this guy in the head. Right, so he's not in like wolf form or anything. He's in the werewolf form. And it does say that they get a +2 bonus to avoid surprise in their natural habitat, can track scent of creatures for up to 4 miles. But we're saying that this is a fresh convert because it's so close to the city. I mean, it doesn't... I guess it could be a werewolf living in Neverwinter. And it was a full moon tonight, so he got out of town, and now... You know, he's out on the prowl. Because what else is he gonna do? I guess we could go with that. He doesn't have to be a raging feral, just out of control. I guess he could just be doing his routine thing every month. So, alright, yeah, I guess he might be stealthier. So... we will, So he has a dex of 14, according to this. It's one thing that I wish Axe had, because I constantly have to go to Tales of Argosa just to see their attributes. As like a reference. But yeah, this obviously doesn't have stuff like that. It's not relevant. Right, so okay, so let's roll for its stealth as it tries to track us and catch up to us, to pounce on us. So I'm gonna roll. I'm gonna give it a bonus because it's kind of stealthy and it's nighttime and it can see us and all that. So I'll give it a bonus of 2. So 16 is the number. All right, so it succeeded by 6. So now it's going to be all our perception. There's a group perception check. So that's a terrible failure from Felina. Terrible failure from Harris. So that means like 4 of the henchmen have to succeed on this. And their perception is 10. So that means like 4 of them have to get 4 or under. 2, 3, 4. Jesus Christ. Alright, we're completely oblivious. We have our sights set on Neverwinter, and we're not looking around at anything. So this thing is definitely going to ambush us. So it's going to get advantage on an attack roll, and it's going to pounce on someone. Probably who's ever in the rear. And I think that's going to be one of the henchmen. Could also be the donkey, I suppose, because it might want to just pounce on the donkey and drag it off. Like a wolf, rather than fight 7 armed individuals. Let's, let me go to D&D real quick. Well, let me go to Tales of Argosa real quick and see what its int is. 10. It's pretty smart. And it's hungry. Yeah, you know, I think it might just try to kill the donkey. In which case, I don't think I even really need to roll. This isn't... That's not a combat thing. It's just... And it's not going to have any trouble shredding a donkey apart. Because I doubt a donkey has much health. God knows where I'd find out that information. Oh, I guess it would be in the monster manual. I mean, it's got to be like 1 hit die or something. Under... Oh yeah, it doesn't have an animal section. It lists all animals. It does not have a unique entry for donkey. Oh, there it is. Why do I say stuff like that? Of course it has donkeys. It has 1 hit die plus 2, so we're looking at around 6 or 7 health. So I suppose it's possible this thing won't kill it in 1 shot. Our donkey may live. Our donkey that we never named. Alright. So... Oh, I didn't look at its AC, but it's gotta be 10, right? Fuck. 12. 12 AC. This thing may not prevail. But we're definitely not noticing this, so it's gonna happen. And it's rolling +4 on its attack with advantage. Alright, it got a 22, so it definitely lands a hit, not a crit. And it's doing 2d4 damage. Honestly, it's kind of likely that our donkey survives. 4. Okay, so it's got like 2 health left. So, pretty much suddenly we're just walking along. Something bursts out of a bush nearby. Some massive furry thing pounces on our donkey. Our donkey squeals as this thing bites into its like shoulder, neck, and stuff. And then, you know, it starts to like drag it away. And that's you wouldn't even really need to go into combat. I guess I'd just say, what do you do? You know, like it's clearly about to drag your donkey off. And our donkey has stuff on it. Nothing that can't be replaced quite cheaply, as well as the donkey. So we may not even bother. But Spoonie once called it the DM's greatest trick. Like, as a DM, if you ever need to steer your players towards something, if you ever are desperate for them to go in some sort of plot direction or anything like that, which, again, in the OSR world, that shouldn't really ever happen, but he, you know, he's more from, like, 3rd edition D&D, where it started to become more narrative and blah, blah, blah. If you ever need your players to do something, the biggest single trick that you can pull as a DM is to steal from them. Is to have an NPC or some sort of monster or something steal something from the players, because they will be relentless in pursuing to rectify that crime. And it doesn't even have to be anything big. It could literally just be like a silver piece. Players will not let it go until it's been rectified and they have achieved vengeance. He does say that you can't really do it like more than once or more than a couple times. So it's like a really kind of ace up your sleeve back pocket thing or something. But it's important to keep in mind, I guess the flip side is that keep in mind that if you do ever have an NPC or monster steal something from the players, they will pursue it relentlessly, even if you didn't intend for it to happen. So, yeah, I think we would do something. I don't think we would just let it take our donkey. And I would say probably well, no, because if Harris makes a portal and it runs through it, like up into the air, then the donkey's going to die. And that sort of rectifies the situation, because we might kill the werewolf. Although it's immune to all mundane damage. If I search werewolf fall damage, yep, there have been threads about werewolves and fall damage. There have been videos made about werewolves and fall damage. I mean, by logic, you'd have to say they're immune to fall damage, right? Because what is fall damage? It's a sudden impact, right? It's basically like a blunt force, being the earth, colliding with your body, much in the same way as a club would collide with your body. The earth isn't magical, despite what some hippies might tell you. So it's falling as mundane damage, and I would say a werewolf is immune to it. They could drop 1,000 feet, and they would be fine. You have to, I guess, delve a little bit further into why is a werewolf immune to mundane damage? What makes it... What aspect of being a werewolf, you know, makes you immune to anything but silver or weapon damage? It's obviously some sort of magical effect. It's a magical creature. And so I suppose in that case, if you think of it as being magic, there are rules to it, you know. It's a formula and all that. So the magic rule here is that it can't be harmed by mundane weaponry. You have to delve a little bit, I guess, into what determines a weapon or not. And I'm sure this is exactly the sort of thing that I would just pester my DM with for like an hour. We would just stop the session as we discuss, like, what exactly defines a weapon in the context of a werewolf. If I just Google weapon, a thing designed or used for inflicting bodily harm or physical damage. Okay. I mean, that's a pretty broad definition that I think would rule out the ground. So I suppose maybe he would be susceptible to falling damage. Because I mean, I think you have to interpret it as being a magical effect that is just subject to specific magical rules that don't necessarily follow like broad logic, because it's magic and it can do whatever the fuck it wants. Because if I pick up the werewolf and I slam him down onto the ground with force, no DM is going to allow that to do damage to a werewolf, right? That's an attack you're making. You're specifically attacking him, not with a weapon per se, but it is sort of an unarmed attack, and you're using the ground to apply force to him, combined with your throw. So that's probably not going to do any damage, but then it seems like from the discussion that a lot of people would allow falling to do damage to werewolves because it's not an attack. But then it's like, what if I'm on the edge of a cliff and I push the werewolf off the cliff, or I throw the werewolf off the cliff? Is that now an attack, or does that slip into fall damage? And it's just so nebulous. That's really funny. It seems like there's a bit of a heated discussion about the topic. And obviously we're getting into fringes because we're not about to pick this werewolf up and slam him into the ground. So I would just have to make a ruling right here. If I made a portal and threw it 30 feet into the air, 60 feet in the air, fuck that, and it fell 60 feet, am I going to deal damage to this werewolf using axe stats? Yeah, I suppose I would. And I'm probably not going to do it because I'd prefer to save the donkey's life. Even though it's not really worth that much. But yeah, I probably would allow it. I think if I was really gonna maybe just like hedge my bets halfway to try to compromise, I'd say that if they push it off a cliff and it falls, it will probably get back up again. Like if I do this thing with the portal and it falls 60 feet and it dies, quotation marks, and it just stops moving there and it's a splatter or something, and then we just like, all right, let's get to town. Fuck this. It's probably gonna get back up again. Now we might want to make sure that it's dead, in which case I might borrow from Tales of Argosa and say you gotta hit it with some sort of magic or silver. I don't know if I'd say that. I don't know if I'd say anything, but I think that might be how I'd rule it. Is that perhaps falling damage could incapacitate it for some time, but maybe not just kill it. But yeah, that's if I really want to go, have my cake and eat it too. All right, so assuming we don't want to make the portal, I don't have many good options. This thing's going to be fast. So I really have like one opportunity, one moment to prevent this from running away. And I think Felina is probably not going to be... I mean, it's a donkey, right? It's not like a deer. Like, it's got meat on its bones. I can tell you exactly how much meat it's got on its bones. 50 stone. 50 stone. I don't think this thing is moving 50 stone at its normal running speed. Its normal load is 6 stone. Yeah, I don't. I mean, I'm gonna allow. It's obviously a supernatural thing, so I'm gonna let it drag the donkey off. But I don't think I'm gonna give it its 180-foot running speed. So maybe it runs about as fast as we are at the moment with the donkey. So I guess we could chase after it, but we'd be chasing after it into dark, into like the woods, and we'd be chasing after a werewolf. And I can already tell you the henchmen aren't key on that because they're just like, fuck it, it's a fucking donkey. We don't give a shit. We're not going in there. We're not chasing this werewolf for a donkey. Maybe if it had like 10,000 gold and treasure on it or something, they might be convinced, but they're not going after it. So the only thing I can do, assuming, yeah, it's probably theoretically possible, I could make a portal in front of it so it runs into it, make a portal the other end 60 feet up, or, you know, a little off. We don't want it to fall on us, so maybe like 50 feet up. And then as the donkey is falling, I use gravity pulse on it. And make it light so it just floats down. We have to assume the werewolf is going to let go of the donkey. As it starts falling 50 feet in the air. And especially once the donkey becomes like light as air, yeah, it's gonna lose its grip. I think that's our best plan. So let's roll arcane lore to make this portal. So that's +1. Yeah, I could put a negative on this because I'm trying to make it... I'm trying to do it quick and have it like run right into the portal. That could be a little tricky, actually. So let's do a minus... let's do a minus... It's dark, too. I'm going to do -4, so a total of -3 on the roll. Alright, great success. Perfect. So we make one portal 50 feet up in the air, sort of a little bit on a diagonal from where we are so it doesn't fall on us. And then the other end right in front of the werewolf so it'll run in. And honestly, I don't see a real good reason to say why it wouldn't run through this portal. Like, we made it, like, right in front of it. It's barreling through, so yeah, its momentum's gonna carry it through, even if it tried to stop. So that was a use of fold space. See, I told you that unique feature already came in handy. Because basically we would have had to make that thing like 20 feet up in the air. So we added 3d6 damage here to this werewolf. That's pretty good for a unique feature that I can use, like, all the time. Alright, now it comes down to using gravity pulse on it. And so this is going to be an initiative roll. Because that's usually used in Tales of Argosa if you need to do something that's really dependent on time. Like if you're quick enough to achieve it. So that's what initiative can be used for. So we're going to roll just a normal initiative check. We failed. Now, I don't think that's susceptible to rerolls, actually. There's no skill applied to it. It's not a luck roll. It's not an ability usage, really. It's just an initiative roll. So I think I wasn't fast enough to get it off. Because I can't use it 50 feet away. I can only use it 30 feet away. So I actually had to wait a little bit for the donkey to fall. And then it's like in midair. And I'm not super accustomed to using the ability. And there's also the werewolf tumbling next to it. So honestly, no, I fumble with it and I couldn't pull it off. So goodbye, donkey. We hardly knew ye. There's no way the donkey survives, like guaranteed death. Yeah, so, okay. I should have manipulated reality so I could have replaced that d20 roll. I always forget about that. Alright, so now the werewolf is going to take 5d6 damage. Which on average is going to be 17 or so. Keeping in mind he has 18 health. So it's possible he goes down just from this, but he might get back up right away. But I would imagine he would just flee at that point. We basically just flung him 50 feet in the air at will. I don't think he's really going to stick around. But alright, let's roll 5d6. 16. Okay, so he does survive. Barely. Probably I should have done an initiative roll just to see if I could go quick enough to make the portal in the first place. But either way, as long as there was an initiative roll in there somewhere. And really, it's like, we could have just rolled initiative for combat. But whatever. So, yeah, I guess we could roll initiative now. After he, like, as he's falling or after he hits the ground or something. We just, yeah, we're rushing in. We're going to finish him off. Alright, Felina's gonna roll initiative. Terrible failure. Also, she has preemptive strike, I forgot about. She was surprised, technically. Oh, I mean, the donkey was more surprised, but yeah, we were all surprised. So she could have rolled luck dex to take a turn immediately. I don't know what she would have really done with it. It was probably for the best she didn't. But alright, we're gonna use a moment in time. To just change that failure to a success. So now she's gonna go. I mean, I don't know if that's really allowed considering she rolled a crit fail, but there's no stipulations there. So now she's gonna rush in and she's gonna main hand hew her battle axe to try and cut into this thing. I think I'm adding +1 attack. Yeah, I'm adding +1 attack because it's a +1 weapon. Okay, she rolled a 12. And it has an AC of 14. So that is going to be a miss with the battle axe. And there is nothing I can do about that. I could use whirling. No, I can't. No, nothing I can do. I can swing the offhand, but it's not going to do anything. It's immune. Whether I would know that or not is hard to say, but yeah, it's irrelevant. Harris does have a turn, though, because he... a moment in time wasn't his action or anything, so he has a turn. I could use Nova and then instantly detonate it. There's a very slim chance that it drops Felina, but I'd have to max roll 3d6. That's unlikely, I think. It's unlikely. So, and she'll probably make her dex save anyways. Alright, yeah, I'm gonna use Nova. Because we're gonna long rest after this. We're right near Neverwinter. So, we're gonna use Nova. So, I make the star within close range. So, I make it right near the two of them. The henchmen are not nearby, so they won't be affected. And then I will, I haven't stipulated this, I think, as well as I could. Oh no, fuck. I don't know why I put Conjure Small Star within close range. It's not, it's within melee range. it detonates to do damage within close range. And I didn't put how far away you can be when you detonate it, but I think that's just within line of sight, causing it to implode as long as you are within line of sight. Yeah, I think that's pretty flexible. So no, I can't do that because you have to make the star within melee range, and if you have a little bit of setup time, you can use Origami Universe or something to make a portal. But yeah, I don't have that. So honestly, I don't think Harris can do much here. I could potentially use Gravity Pulse on it to make it really heavy and slow it down, but it's a luck strength save, and his strength is obviously pretty high. It's still possible to fail, I suppose. And I guess I already used my Celestial Alignment. So, sure, we'll try to Gravity Pulse him. So he gets a luck strength save, and his strength is 18, his luck is 8. So that means he gets plus 3, 4, 3, 3. So he needs to roll, if he rolls 11 or lower, he will resist this. All right, he did. So yeah, he shrugs that bullshit off, and now it's his turn, so he's gonna bolt. And Felina does get an op with her battle axe, so here we go again. This is all it takes. +1 and roll. Boom! Right in his spine. Dropped him. Yeah, that's it. That's all she wrote. That's a werewolf done. Not bad. Not bad. According to this, they're only worth 135. Also, according to this, they appear in packs of 2d6. So, for some reason, I just assumed it was only one. Well, man, they travel in big packs of 2d6 out in the wilderness. That's like their whole den. They all travel together. Crazy. Is that from OSE as well? Is this factual? Werewolf. Yep, that is it. 2d6. Okay, well, this was a really weird solitary one. Maybe this one was just a recent convert and was out here and went feral and it was just starving. Oh well. Yeah, that would have been a much harder encounter with 8 of them. Jesus Christ. It's a dangerous world out there, man. Honestly, I think one was just good. I thought that was good enough. You have one that's just trying to pick off your donkey or something and not even trying to attack. If I rolled 8 werewolves that were all hungry and wanted to butcher us, that would be like a TPK. They have 180 feet running speed. That's a fucking TPK. Maybe if I like gave up the donkey and all the rations and stuff and they just devoured it, then maybe we could run away. It's possible, but man, some of these wilderness encounters are fucking brutal. It would never happen in a video game, right? It would be regarded as just a god-awful, shit-ass, worst video game of all time sort of thing. But RPGs do give you a lot more flexibility, and you can give up your donkey and your rations to run away. And I guess that is sort of the hallmark of being out in the borderlands and stuff, where monsters roam. If you're out there just as a small group at night, it's dangerous. I'm gonna give 1 XP for that fun little encounter. The henchmen didn't really participate, so I'm not gonna give them anything. Right. And then we're going to make it to Neverwinter. Nice and cozy. Where we will long rest. Long rest. Long rest. And they sell their treasure and they send all the money to their families and blah, blah, blah. And that's kind of it. Oh, yeah, I was going to buy Masterwork Chainmail, which I think is going to be, yeah, 650 plus 40, so 690 gold. And I have my notes somewhere. That got closed at some point. Yeah. Okay, so let's pay in copper. 690 times 10 for silver times 10 for copper. 69,000. Okay, I can't afford that. Minus 34,000. Okay, I have to pay 35,000 copper. More, so divide that by 10 for silver, 3,500 silver. So all my copper gone. And then this minus 3,500, 9,700 silver is what we have left. Good. And now I can get armor. Nah, I don't like your systems. Chain armor. Right, that's what we're talking about, chain armor. 4, that's the best medium armor we can get. So chain armor. Armor equipped. Doesn't matter. It's medium, has an AC bonus of 5. Masterwork chain armor. There are penalties for wearing medium armor, though. And that would be, according to Tales of Argosa, -2 to stealth and swimming? That is a downside. Yeah, -2 on stealth and swimming, so she will be worse at stealth. But it's a small price to pay for security. Okay, and then we're gonna throw the Masterwork armor over to Harris. 17 AC on Felina, 15 on Harris. All good, all good. Done and done. Okay. And then during our long rest, we will get approached by Sildar, who tells us the situation with the Rockseeker brothers and all that, and wants us to go to this goblin castle because he heard about our exploits. And I guess that's where we'll go next time. Yeah, I thought we would be there this video. I really did, but we got so distracted by like monster carving and werewolves falling and yeah, that's what I tend to do, I guess. I just ramble and ramble on and we get very little done. Makes for a long campaign. So I'm a little, like I mentioned a while back, for Two Brothers Play with Lego doing some like duo RPG stuff where we were both kind of basically doing this where neither of us is the DM and we're kind of playing together and just going through something and just, you know, faffing about. But I thought to myself, like, I really fucking ramble. Like, I don't know if he'll tolerate me sitting here for like an hour looking at axe butchering rules and stuff, you know. He's kind of wants to go, and it's just sort of a tough sell, I think, compared to just playing like Archipelago together. So I don't know. Oh, also we need to buy a donkey again and all the trimmings. So I think the donkey was like 10 gold or something. And then this is 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. The grappling hook's 20 fucking 5. So that's, I don't know, 41. Let's just spend 45 and call it a day. No, I'll spend 15 and call it a day. Not thinking about it too much here. Yeah, all right. Donkey replaced. We have a new donkey now. Donkey 2.0. Donkey 2.0. There you go. Yeah, so we'll get to Cragmaw Castle next time, although we do have to travel there, and we know how travel goes here. It's a bit tricky. Bit tricky. Very time-consuming. Not in-game, but definitely out-of-game. So Cragmaw Castle, we're saying, is like right here-ish. Let me just, like, draw. We're saying that's Cragmaw Castle. So we're going to have to go along the safe road out to, like, here, and then we'll have to cut across the grasslands and then into the forest. Just a bit, not too far. And then we'll get to the castle. And we are going to take the henchmen along. Probably, I don't know. They're goblins. Do we really need 5 henchmen? There is an advantage to not bringing them outside of just we get more treasure. But also, they're not very stealthy. They're not quiet. They're not subtle. It's really... We brought them to Thunder Tree because we wanted a dragon dead. And we got a dragon dead. Here, it's a bit more nebulous. We're not quite sure what we're heading into. We know it's a castle populated by goblins. We don't know how many goblins. But it's going to be a sparser situation. We might not need just the raw manpower of 5 extra spears, because we might be able to be a bit stealthier and more creative with our applications. So maybe we'll leave the henchmen behind for this one. At least we can scope out the situation, and if it's like overwhelming, we barely survive, maybe we'll run back home and get them. And if we don't survive, well, then we don't have to worry anymore. All right, for now, though, my name is Mang. This has been Solo Roll Manging, Phandelver and Below, Tales of Argosa, and Axe. I'll see you fine folks in the next part.